Hey everybody, Pastor Sam here with your verse of the day for Gospel Gunslingers. It's a rainy day here in Chihuahua, Mexico, and I have a very special guest. This is Anthony Quinn's famous portrayal of Zordo the Greek as he dances and sings. He was 50 years old when he played this role in 1965. And you know, we're going to talk a lot about what it is to be a gospel gunslinger. I think that my regular viewers are seeing that I'm in a very special place, that I'm in a city where the ground is literally soaked with the blood of mighty warriors and revolutionaries and people who stood up for themselves despite all odds. Despite all odds. You know, as tough as we are and as mean as we are, there's a point where we all have to be a little bit like Zordo the Greek. We have to lift our hands to the Lord and give glory to Him that lives forever and ever. So let's go to our verse first. Oh, clap your hands, all ye people. Shout unto God with the voice of triumph. This is the 47th Psalm. For the Lord Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. He shall subdue the people under us and the nations under our feet. Well, that's what the Lord does. He turns over our enemies to us and releases from their despotic rule. He gives us the power to rule ourselves and to set up governments that are toward our ends, that people might enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So there's Anthony Quinn, larger than life. You know, he was born in this city in 1915, and he's kind of forgotten as an actor because he's from the black and white days. Again, he played this role in 1965. His last role was in 2002 in a movie with Sylvester Stallone, where he was the mob boss, and Sylvester Stallone had to deal with all that. So I would ask you to take a look at the life of Anthony Quinn. Now, to tell you a little bit more just about him, the revolution later phases were still going on when he was born, when he was a young boy. And his father was an Irishman who came to Mexico and fought in the revolution. So he was a gringo insurgentes. He was a gringo insurgent, Mr. Quinn, Anthony's father. His mother was one of the famous soldaderas, or lady soldiers, from the revolution, from the Mexican Revolution. That you see pictures of the lady soldiers with their bullet belts, and they also supported the war effort. It was really one of the early wars where ladies played a principal role in the Americas. And so these two fell in love in the revolution and married. And when Anthony was a young boy, his father was still out fighting the later battles of the revolution after President Madero was assassinated. So he was a young boy also, and remembered, I'm sure, when Pancho Villa was assassinated. Later on, Anthony Quinn supported the widow after he made it big, after he got into movies and films, and he's far and away the most famous Mexican that became an actor in the USA and made it to the top. He single-handedly supported Luz Villa Corral, the widow of Pancho Villa. You see, this idea of people standing up and fighting and throwing down a despotic government is so controversial that for 50 years it was illegal even in Mexico, and the revolution was not published in textbooks. It only really appeared in what's called corridos, which are long-running songs that told the tales of these revolutionaries, of Pancho Villa and his dorados, his golden ones, and the great warriors, of one of whom was the father of Anthony Quinn. So during the 60s and 70s and 80s, Anthony Quinn supported Luz Villa Corral. She lived in Pancho Villa's big house, and then after his assassination, it was proved out of Pancho's many mistresses and wives that she was his one legitimate wife, so she got his house. And in about 1988, it was made a federal property. Today, it's a military installation. You go there, and soldiers live in the house, the Casa Quinta, they say, the Casona Luz Villa Corral. The soldiers live in it. They guard it. They get out the weapons that belong to Pancho Villa and his Dorados, and they clean them on a weekly basis. And they're the ones that, when the museum's open, of course, it's all quarantined now, but when it's open, they let people in, guide tours in the museum, uniformed soldiers, unarmed, but they're rumored to be trained in hand-to-hand combat. One would wonder. Anyway, it was Anthony Quinn that stood up for all that, and he embraced the duality well of being a warrior, yet being a man of dance and of praise and of song. He was also a sculptor. He was also a painter, and his works appear in this city. So let's all shout to the Lord with a voice of triumph, because it's He that will tread down our enemies. I'm Pastor Sam, and that's your verse of the day for Gospel Gunslingers.